have to be soul conscious. So what is being soul conscious? So Baba today describes that, a soul is not young or old. A soul is not male or female. It's the body. So the soul has taken this throne of the body, and the throne on which the eternal, immortal throne on which the soul sits, the Kal Takht, that's the body. That body is male, female, or that of a child, or that body has a certain age. But Baba says that I, the soul, do not have this physical age or physical gender. Of course, the soul is also on a journey, and when we say old souls, that expression is also true, because when a soul has been very long here on the stage, that's also an old soul. But that old or young is very different from how we think about, old and young based on the body. So Baba says that you have to be first soul conscious yourself. So Baba today says charity begins at home. So first I have to be soul conscious. And when I am soul conscious, I am free from the consciousness of the gender of this body, the age of this body, the religion of this body, the nationality of this body, or the relationships of this body, or the state of the body. So the body has so many aspects to it, and we have been body conscious for so long that all these aspects of the body influence our thoughts, feelings, attitudes, everything. So first, charity begins at home. I have to free myself from the influences of the body, or from the consciousness of the body. So let us just do an honest checking. Have we become soul conscious? Just ask yourself deeply this question. Am I soul conscious? Have I gotten over my consciousness of the religion that this body was born into, or the gender of the body, or the age of the body, or the appearance of the body? So have I really overcome the consciousness of the body? And the consciousness of the body is pretty limiting. So it is very, very limiting. And when we are body conscious, we cannot have an unlimited outlook. But even about self-perception, how we perceive the world is another thing, but self-perception also about how powerful, or how happy, or how worthy, or how dignified, or how peaceful, or whatever you feel on the inside, it's a product of your self-perception. So how you perceive yourself, and this self-perception, this self-image is very much colored by these aspects of the body. And yesterday I was just thinking, when there are some things going right for us, let's say, I have so let's assume, that this, or so most people feel that if you are in a male body, if a soul is born in a male body, then you have things working to your advantage rather than when you're born in a female body. Yes, so a soul in a female body would always like to overcome gender consciousness because it is working negatively for that soul, because how you have started perceiving yourself by virtue of this birth in a female body has affected your self image negatively. If that is so, let's assume if that is so, then you will be interested in overcoming the gender consciousness. But let's say if there is a soul in a male body and that gender consciousness is working favorably for the soul. Yes, so you have taken, so everybody has always told you with happiness and in a congratulatory tone that you are a male and that's something to be proud of and that's a good thing. Then it becomes rather difficult to even make the decision to overcome that body consciousness, overcome that gender consciousness. So so according to body consciousness also, we feel we have certain strengths and we feel we have certain weaknesses. Yes, so that's also a training of the body conscious state. Now, we want to overcome our weaknesses. We don't want to identify with our weaknesses, but we want to identify with the strengths that come from body consciousness. Yes, so let's say, so Baba says that it's the body, it's what you have, it's what you do, everything is body consciousness. Yes, so let's say you have a talent and you are a good singer, or you are a good dancer, or you are a good writer, or a painter, or a musician, and then would you like to stop believing, stop thinking about yourself as a good singer or a good dancer or a good musician? Would you want to overcome that? Because you see that the problem is these pairs of opposites, good and bad, yes, they come together, and these are not absolutes. So even when you are identifying with something that you have in terms of a talent, in terms of a skill, so then if you start identifying with it, so you see Baba doesn't say leave the body, Baba doesn't say leave the gender. So Baba says overcome the consciousness. So let's say you are in the consciousness that I am a very good singer. Okay, it's a good thing that you have the craft of singing or you are a good singer, that's a good thing. But then if you become very conscious about it, if that's become your identity and you have started thinking about yourself as a good singer and you have started defining yourself as a good singer, then just take an example of a period in your life where your singing abilities are not put into practice, and there are factors because of which you cannot sing, or you're not allowed to sing, or nobody is listening to you, or you have a sore throat, or there is some infection and for very long there is no possibility of singing. Then what happens? Then that strength becomes a source of identity crisis. Yes, and let's say gender consciousness. So for example, you've always thought of yourself as a woman or a man, or let's take a very easy example. So let's say there is this in this COVID, what happened is there were lots of instances where these news reports kept saying that, one time the elderly are vulnerable to the disease, and then they said, children are vulnerable, and then there was one time when they said all the youth are very vulnerable to COVID. So then what happens? You think about as a youth, about yourself as a youth, then you think I am very vulnerable to infection. So this is how much, the consciousness of the body, even when, something that you consider to be a strength today may not be a strength tomorrow. So the tables may turn, because it's all about social perception and economic viability and how much, it is working in your favor today. And if the tables turn, that same thing will become a source of insecurity tomorrow. So, today you think you are a mountaineer and tomorrow you cannot climb mountains. That becomes the reason for frustration. Yes, so this is why Baba says that you have to discern this body consciousness. How much of your sense of self-worth and sense of happiness and sense of peace and joy and sense of being powerful is coming from something that you have or you do or some aspect of your body. So, let's say you are living in a country where the religion of your body is practiced by the majority, and then you have an advantage there. So you're very proud to be associated with that religion, and you take great pride, and you tell yourself 10 times, I'm of this particular religion. But let's say circumstances are such that you have to move to another country where that same religion is a minority. And then what happens? That same religion consciousness will make you feel very vulnerable. Yes, but if you have always thought of yourself as a soul, then what happens? You move anywhere. You are never afraid. You never feel vulnerable, because you know that as a soul, I am always worthy, always, always peaceful, always loveful, always powerful. It's my choice how I want to be, and it doesn't depend on external factors. So one must make a lot of effort, to practice being soul conscious. And this practice of soul consciousness is something that Baba recommends very deeply today, and I have to ask myself, how much am I soul conscious, and have I stopped identifying with physical features and factors and things that are working in my favor or against me? Have I started identifying with all of that? Because the truth is, you are a soul, and you are genderless, casteless, religionless, nationalityless. So all less when it comes to, whatever is associated with the body. So that's not yours. That's something you've been conditioned into. So this is something that we have to first practice. Then second thing, Baba says, whenever you meet somebody, you are engaging with somebody, look at them as a soul brother. And just remember that this is a soul from the soul world, and this is my brother. And when you look at the body, then all the body consciousness and the storms with it start. Yes, so whenever you are body conscious, so the first thing is we perceive as we are. Yes, so it is not possible that you are body conscious and you see somebody as a soul. That's not possible. So first I have to see myself as a soul, and only then can I see someone else as a soul. And what do we mean by seeing someone as a soul? So you just remember that this is a soul. This is a soul which is pure, peaceful, loveful, child of God. So this is a virtuous soul, a soul brother. We belong to the same father, same home. And when you have this attitude, or you are seeing this, then what happens? Your heart is full of, good feelings and loving wishes for that soul, and your heart is open to that soul. And then you kind of build that connection, that spiritual connection with the soul, through which when you talk to the soul, they get what you're speaking. So, have you heard about this thing called communication gap? So, how does communication gap happen? Communication gap happens because you're body conscious. Yes, so body consciousness is the reason for communication gap. I will give you an incident. So there was this brother, and he said that, I and my wife have always been not on the same page, and I think, I have tried to have a good relationship, but I have not been able to. And then he said that, my wife is not as intellectual as I am, or, she doesn't understand ideas the way I do. And that's why whenever I engage in a conversation with her, that communication, that conversation is not going anywhere. So I told him that, from the first day when you met your wife, you have had this thing in your head that, she is a lesser individual than you. So you have thought about her as somebody who doesn't have the same intellectual prowess as you, or who is less educated than you. And when you hold that in your awareness and you communicate, then obviously she's not going to get it. So you think that, it's because of communication gap that you have arrived at this conclusion that she is not as intellectual as you. But it is your ego that I am very intellectual, which has actually brought about this communication gap. And then he said that, now that you are pointing it out, I think about it, maybe yes, because I always had this sense of pride that, I'm very well learned, and I'm educated, and I'm intellectual. And when we got married, I was not happy with her, educational status and other stuff. So you see that when you're body conscious, then you will always see the other one as less than or greater than. Yes, you will not see them as a brother. And what does Baba mean by a brother? A brother is someone you have fraternal feelings for, you have love and respect for. So, for a brother, you don't have any other feeling. It's just, a feeling of compassion and respect. And you feel, you're the same. And that's the feeling that Baba says you must have for every soul you meet, that you belong to one father, you belong to one home, and you are one of the same family. So this opening of the heart makes you, communicate well. And for efficient communication, soul consciousness is mandatory. So when you're soul conscious, you can communicate very well. And Baba says, even when you talk about Baba's Gyan, when you talk about the truths that Baba is telling you, that soul will get it. On point, they'll get it. Why? Because you're coming from a place of soul consciousness and a drishti of, brotherly love for that soul. So, and not even just gyan, whatever you say, whatever communication you make, that will land well with the soul. If you are soul conscious and you are in awareness that this is a soul. Now I will talk about some very gross things that we do, you know. So there was this one sister, and she called some days back and she said, that when I see somebody as a soul, I'm so busy seeing them as a soul that I can't even think at that time. So, sometimes when we are new in Gyan, or even when you may be 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, or 20 years in Gyan, if you don't get it right, then what happens is you think that probably when you're talking to somebody, you have to just keep looking between the eyes, and you have to just keep looking for the soul, as if if you looked hard enough you will kind of see the soul popping out of the forehead. So that's not happening. You don't have to kind of keep looking in the center of the eye. So when Baba says see somebody as a soul, so let's take Baba says see yourself as a soul. So what do? You just turn your eyes within and try looking at yourself as a soul? No, it's about awareness. So how do you see? You don't see with these physical eyes. Your buddhi sees. Yes, it is through your awareness that you see. You see that which is in your awareness. Yes, so Baba says that hold this awareness that I am a soul, and hold this awareness that the one in front of me is a soul. And when you hold that awareness, then you are able to communicate with them with that awareness. And according to science, you can be aware at 7 levels at one time. So, you can, awareness can operate simultaneously in 7 areas. So let's say, when you're driving your car, then you are aware of what's ahead of you. You are aware of the brakes. You are aware of the steering wheel. You are aware of the person who is sitting beside you and what they are talking. You are aware of, you can even be aware of what you're eating at that time, or the music that's playing. So you can be aware of so many things simultaneously. So it's not like when you are holding this awareness that this is a soul, then you will miss out what they are saying. It's not like that. So, when there was this one sister, and I gave her this lesson in soul consciousness, and then the 2 days later she told me, I went to McDonald's and I was buying burger for the children, and then I was just looking at the person giving the burger and thinking this is a soul, this is a soul, and he was asking for money and I couldn't hear it. So then that person had to shake me up and tell me, please pay. So she said it's so difficult, when you're saying this is a soul, this is a soul, then you miss out what they're saying. But it's not something that you do like this. So no, when you're talking, and in any case, when you're talking to somebody, there is something that you hold in your awareness, don't you? Yes, this is my spouse, this is my child, this is my parent, or this is an old person, or this is a... So, when you're talking to the elderly, then you are always aware that this is an elderly, right? And with that awareness, you're talking to that person. So it's not like you hold in your awareness that this is an old person and you forget what they're saying. No, you don't. You hold it in your awareness, and then you listen to them, you reply to them, you do everything. So it's the same. So when you hold in your awareness that I'm a soul, having a conversation with another soul, then that soul is a brotherly soul. I have full faith that we come from the same home, we belong to the same family, we have our Shiv Baba as our parent, and that soul is coming from a good place, a good intention. That is what you have faith in when you look at them as a soul. So, when you hold this awareness, you have faith in their intention, that their intention is good. You have faith in them that they are good souls. You have faith in them that, they are children of God. You have compassion and faith in them. Yes, so faith, but not like you trust them with this and that and the other. But you have faith that they're coming from a good place. You have your own boundaries. It's not like you make yourself susceptible to somebody, but you have your faith that that soul is a good soul. So, and with that faith, with that awareness, with that attitude, you engage with the soul. So that is what Baba says soul consciousness is all about. And then Baba today says that when you are soul conscious, you are aware that your quality is peace, love, purity, happiness, your dignity or your sense of self-worth tells you that you have to think, talk and behave like God's child. So, when you're soul conscious, you know that your thoughts, your words, your behavior must reflect the fact that you're God's child. And Baba says, even if somebody doesn't do that, how does it matter to you? Yes, Baba says, tumhara kya jata hai? Even if somebody is not polite, somebody is not respectful, they may suit themselves. Why are you worried about them? You have to uphold your identity as God's child. And you have to live by that. Your thoughts, your words, your behavior has to be a reflection of your identity that you are a soul, you are God's child. And then Baba today says another very important thing, which is you also have to be available to tolerate a little. So, generally, I don't know from where this came, but we are pretty conditioned into this thought process that I don't have to tolerate. Yes, I will not put up with anything. I will not tolerate anything. But Baba says that when you're dealing with souls, every soul has a variety of sanskars, right? And they will behave according to their sanskars because, every soul is pure divine and every soul is Baba's child. But every soul has acquired sanskars also at this point of time. So when you engage with a soul, don't forget this fourth aspect also, that every soul apart from the man, buddhi and original sanskar, they have acquired sanskars also. And the interesting thing about acquired sanskars is you don't like acquired sanskars which are not like your acquired sanskars. So, all acquired sanskars are pretty bad. But you don't like those acquired sanskars in other people which are not like yours. So, if somebody is very rude and you are yourself very rude, then you will appreciate that their being rude is okay. Yes, but if somebody is not rude, you are rude, but somebody is an introvert, then you find that their sanskar is wrong and yours is right. Yes, somebody is just not expressive enough, then you say you should express more. but they tell you that you should talk less, and you tell them you should talk more. And both think that, mine is right and the other person's sanskar is wrong. But Baba says that because we souls, all the souls who belong to one family, one father, one home, we've been here for very long, we have acquired many different sanskars. And when you meet any soul, you must know that their sanskars are different from your sanskars. And you must be available to tolerate a little. What is tolerance? So you stick to your sanskar despite they sticking to their sanskar. So even if somebody is, not talking or not doing things in a manner that you think is right, you do not react there. And you have to understand that some amount of adjustment and tolerance will always be there. Nobody is ever tailor-made for you. Yes, nobody is tailor-made for you. And if you are not, so, if you've closed this door, this option that I will tolerate a little, then what happens? Every little difference in sanskar will end up in a conflict. Yes, every little difference in your sanskars will end up in a conflict, and then what will your life become about? It will all be about creating conflict and resolving conflict. But you don't want to do that. So you have to mentally prepare yourself that the spiritual truth is we are engaging with souls who are all belonging to my own family, children of God, but they have different sanskars, and I'm not here to change their fortune. I'm not here to correct them. I'm only here to engage with them with a pure attitude, and whatever differences we have, I have to tolerate it and get the work done. Yes, and when I came into Gyan, I had this strange, notion that I have to correct those who are living with me at least, and bring them on the same page. And especially in the center, you feel like if somebody is not making self progress, or somebody is not doing what you're doing, then you feel like, that's also coming from a place of ego, but you feel like, you have to bring them to that place, and you kind of take up that responsibility, and that becomes a source of major conflict. And then, there was this one sister, and she told me something many years back. She said, it doesn't matter to you if they go to Satyug or not. You don't try to send them to Satyug. You just do your work together with them. And you will need a lot of adjustment and tolerance for that. Just worry about your tolerance. Don't worry about what they are becoming, what they are doing, because they are the masters of their destiny. And then I understood that, the only way to change is by influence, not by correcting anybody. Yes, and you just be yourself. You keep your attitude right, attitude towards yourself, attitude to others. You engage in actions based on Srimad, and they will make their choices according to what they like. And if they are making choices which are disturbing you, then you pull up your power of tolerance and deal with it. Don't go and try to tell them that you are wrong, so you have to correct yourself. So in this case, these three things that Baba is talking about, that be soul conscious, have an attitude of soul consciousness, but know that you are different, and you have to use your power to tolerate. Otherwise, when two hands come together, there will be a clap. And so, for a fight, you need two, but for peace, you need only one. So one soul who is knowledgeful, peaceful, and full of tolerance will bring about peace in a relationship. So Baba says, don't be the one who contributes to conflict. Just use your power of tolerance and leave that conflict. And then there is another thing that Baba says, that about this body, that for one thing is you have to overcome body consciousness, but another very important thing is you have to take care of the body also. So don't think that this body is just mud and it's going to be wasted and no use, I don't have to take care of it. But what is the most true way of genuinely taking care of the body? So nurture it with yoga power. Even if you see that it's very important that you understand that even this body will only have a longer lifespan if you nurture it with Baba's power. These days, however much you think about taking the right diet, okay, you will do the best you can, but do you think really that the elements have any strength left in them? So you eat milk or butter or ghee or fruits or vegetables or whatever. Everything is Kali Yugi, right? So when everything is Kali Yugi, then it doesn't have the strength to give nourishment to the body. So you do the best you can, but you must understand that this body will also cooperate with you longer if you use yoga power to work with the body. And with yoga power, you make right choices for the body also. With yoga power, you make right choices for the body also. And with yoga power, you give courage to the body to move along, come what may. So even if there's a disease or anything, don't stop your daily routine, because if a machine is always working, this body is like a machine, and you oil it well, you make it work, it will go on for longer. So that is also there. And then Baba also talks about something very important, which is, what is your attitude towards people who are physically suffering? So sometimes you think that if somebody is physically suffering a lot, then people say if they died or left the body, then they would be peaceful. Yes, and there is this whole concept of euthanasia or mercy killing also these days, and people say that if somebody is in a coma or they are really in ill health, then it's a good idea to kill them also. That's called mercy killing. But Baba says that no, even if there is physical illness, teach that soul to remember Baba. Teach that soul to earn their spiritual income credit by remembering Baba. And Baba says you should never have such thoughts about any soul who is physically suffering, even if they are throwing tantrums and they are screaming and shouting, whatever they are doing. Never have this thought that they should leave the body. You must always have this good wishes. They should stay longer and remember Baba and create their fortune and then leave the body. So always have this good wish, and always teach any soul, even if that soul is not able to talk or walk or anything. Just tell them that just remember Baba. Give them the introduction that God is a point of light, sitting with you, sending you waves of love and peace. Just stay in that remembrance. Give the message, have the good wish that they will do that. So this is our attitude towards souls who are suffering from ailments or illnesses, and not that they should leave the body and be free. No, they can't be free until they settle the karma and the only way to settle the karma is to remember Baba. Okay, Om Shanti.